Many are now comparing it to the infamous Epstein scandal. Diddy's case has been making headlines for months, but now it's taking a sharp turn into something much darker and far more sinister. The deeper the investigation goes, the more it feels like Diddy wasn't acting alone. Whispers of a hidden network, much like the one behind Epstein, are growing louder. People are beginning to wonder, is there a powerful lobby protecting him from the shadows? Will they pull the strings to make it all disappear, or will they turn on him the moment he becomes a threat? The stakes are higher than ever, and the conspiracy runs deep. And now the story takes an even more chilling turn. Patrick Bet David PBD has raised eyebrows by pointing out something that many find too strange to be a coincidence. The lead prosecutor on Diddy's case is none other than the daughter of former FBI Chief James Comey, a man recently in the spotlight for what some believe was a veiled reference to the killing of Donald Trump, adding fuel to the fire. The previous prosecutor, Damon Williams, mysteriously stepped down from the case, with whispers suggesting he was quietly pushed out. The question now is why and who really stands to gain. The deeper you look, the clearer it gets. This isn't just about Diddy anymore. PBD took it a step further, raising a question that's now echoing across the internet. Could the Dejo connection be the very protection that shielded Diddy for nearly 2 decades? He's been allegedly involved in these dark activities for over 17 years, yet not a single major case stuck until now. Why PBD suggests that maybe Diddy wasn't just lucky, maybe he was protected. And once that protection, possibly tied to his powerful business ties with Dejo, was stripped away after the lawsuit and quiet settlement, the floodgates opened just 2 months after that confidential deal. Diddy's home was raided. The timing is too perfect. Was Diageo the silent shield all along? And once it dropped, did the powers that be decided it was finally open season on Diddy, where they were at the parties and they knew things that were taking place and are like, wait, what do you want to do to us? No problem, boom, drop the bomb. I don't know, all I'm saying is the timing is kind of strange. Maybe even they wanted to kind of be like, look, we know what's about to be dropped on this guy. We want to have nothing to do with you. We're out. Here's some money. You stay quiet. We'll pay you. But we want to get out of here. The only thing that the timing is kind of crazy is January 2024. They settled 2 months later. Remember what we're sitting there doing and minding our own business. And you hear March of 2024, the feds are raiding Diddy's Miami home and his LA home for what even Joe Rogan couldn't stay silent on the matter on his podcast. He echoed the growing suspicion that higher powers might be pulling the strings behind the scenes. Rogan drew a chilling parallel to the Epstein case, reminding listeners how even district attorneys were caught hiding key documents to protect the powerful. I've had conversations with people about it, and it's like Jesus, like just trying to get the documents. Like when they're trying to get the Epstein files, like to the state of New York, when the district attorneys was hiding, they were hiding documents. They had to have forced them to get documents. I think there's so many __ powerful people that are on those lists. There's so many powerful people that went and partied. He suggested that something similar could be happening here, that Diddy's infamous parties may have been more than just celebrity hangouts. According to Rogan, there's a strong chance that some very influential people were regulars at those parties. And now, with the trial heating up, the fear isn't just about Diddy going down, it's about who else might get exposed along the way. Fair quotes. And how many of them went to the Diddy party? Have you been paying attention to the trial? But yeah, a trial's wild. Joe Rogan didn't hold back. He speculated that Diddy could very well end up rotting in jail for the rest of his life if things keep swirling the way they are. But then came the twist. Rogan and his guest also warned that this case might follow the same eerie pattern as the Epstein saga. Despite explosive allegations of child trafficking and elite involvement, Epstein's trial never truly delivered justice. No major players were ever held accountable. Rogan questioned whether Diddy's case is heading down that same road. Big headlines, shocking claims, and then silence. Well, Diddy's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. I think he's probably going to get saying. Though I don't even think it matters. I mean, it's a lot of it is, but then it's just another game, Maxwell, where somebody gets indicted and nobody else indicted for trafficking kids. To no one, Joe even raised the possibility that Diddy might not have been a mastermind behind it all. He questioned how one man alone could come up with such an elaborate system, getting celebrities drugged, throwing these wild parties, and orchestrating what some have described as freak-offs. Rogan suggested there's no way Diddy did this entirely on his own. The scale, the access, the secrecy, It all points to something bigger. Maybe Diddy wasn't just the ringleader, maybe he was working with someone else, or worse, crazy now. If that's not an intelligence agency operation, it's just one evil super genius who figures out how to compromise everybody by providing this crazy freak-off party. Everybody's got to put their phones away. Okay, we're going to put our phone away. No one's going to know anything. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get cameras everywhere. It's just one guy doing that. What a diabolical human being. He seems pretty diabolical. He's probably working with somebody, or for somebody maybe, and maybe he just got too far out there. Some of it came out in the trial, though, like he's forcing his girlfriend to have sex with prostitutes while he was sitting there jacking off with a bandana on. She'd rub the jizz on his nipples like, what are we? Even talking about maybe he was working for someone else. Joe Rogan took it to an even darker level, suggesting that these parties might have been more than just wild celebrity gatherings. He floated the idea that this could have been a calculated system of control. Get these celebrities into a room, introduce them to the chaos, tell them, look, even Bill Clinton's been here, normalize the madness, and then slowly push them past the line with drugs, pressure, and influence. Once they're compromised, get all on tape, use that footage as leverage. According to Rogan, this wasn't just Diddy's playground. It may have been a setup designed to own people to make sure they could be controlled forever. That's a good question. What would be a great way to compromise celebrities? Yeah, and get them to say whatever you want them to do, get them to do whatever project you'd like them to do. And you know, if you're a bunch of other celebrities are there, you're like, oh, look, Bill Clinton's here, this is fine. Yeah, this is cool. Look at this, like Brad Pitt's here. Well, this is cool. You don't even think there's anything wrong with being there. Meanwhile, you're getting drugged up and filmed. And then they're passing out punch. Have some punch, Aaron. And you have some punch. And all of a sudden, you're like, I'm feeling really good. I feel amazing. You're all mollied up. You don't know what you're doing. Probably a combination of things they give you. And it's all being filmed, even though several celebrities have hinted that there's someone or something far more powerful pulling the strings behind Diddy. The details emerging from the trial itself are deeply disturbing. On their own, one witness, a man who identified himself as a sex worker, took the stand and delivered a shocking testimony. He claimed he had been hired multiple times by Sean Diddy Combs, but what he described went far beyond anything anyone expected. According to his account, he was repeatedly instructed to have sex with Diddy's then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. While Diddy watched from the shadows, the courtroom was stunned. Also heard from a man who described himself as managing a male review show from 2012 to 2013, says his boss called him to go to a hotel in Manhattan where he met Cassie Ventura. At the door, he says she was dressed in a red wig, red lingerie, and essentially gave him $4,000 with the intent that he was going to have sex with her. He also noted that Sean Combs, he said that first encounter was off to the side and watch Cassie Venner and this a male review show manager have sex and masturbated as it was happening. The witness went on to describe how these encounters weren't brief or isolated. They would last anywhere from an hour to as long as 10 hours. What made it even more disturbing was the claim that Diddy often recorded the acts himself using either his phone or a camcorder. These weren't just private obsessions, they were documented. The revelation sent shock waves through the courtroom, leaving even seasoned legal professionals visibly shaken. He talked about several instances where he would have sex with Cassie Ventura and that Sean Combs would be off in the corner watching. He said sometimes these meetings would last anywhere from an hour to 10 hours, and even said that Sean Combs recorded some of this on his cell phone or a camcorder. The beginning of opening statements, though, really focused on what this case is about, according to the prosecution, which is sex trafficking and racketeering, saying that Sean Combs led a criminal enterprise so that he could partake in sexual acts with people based on coercion and bribery, kidnapping, etc. Amidst all the intense back and forth in court, new names suddenly entered the spotlight, names that added a fresh and unexpected twist to an already tangled web. The defense introduced Kid Cudi and Michael B. Jordan into the conversation, implying that Cassie may have shared some kind of personal connection or relationship with them. This, they argued, may have ignited deep jealousy in Diddy, further fueling the chaos behind the scenes. Yesterday, Andy, about other celebrities and if other names were going to be brought into this. Well, yeah, we heard today about Kid Cudi and jealousy issues with Kid Cudi and Cassie being together and hooking up. We heard about Michael B. Jordan and Cassie possibly having a relationship that angered Diddy. So again, there was these themes of distrust and of cheating in the relationship that seemed to go Both ways, then, the defense took things a step further, doubling down on the claim that Cassie had been unfaithful specifically with Kid Cutie. They zeroed in on one particular freak-off session, calling it a critical turning point in the entire story. According to their narrative, it was during this encounter that Diddy allegedly discovered Cassie's intimate involvement with Kid Cutie. The moment, they argued, shattered whatever illusion of control Diddy thought he had fueled by betrayal and jealousy. The defense claimed Diddy snapped, triggering a heated confrontation that quickly spiraled into a violent altercation between him and Cassie. Another point that's been important is this relationship with a man by the name of Kid Cudi, in which Cassie, according to the testimony, was taking part in one of these freak-offs when Sean Combs found out that she was quote-unquote cheating on him with this man you're looking at right here, Kid Cudi. She was in one of those freak-offs, and then Sean got a hold of her phone and then realized that they had been having a relationship together, and she said that that did not go over very well, to say the least. So one of the other things that defense counsel has been saying back and forth with Cassie, when Cassie is responding with things like, "I can't recall, it's a long time ago." At one point, defense counsel said, "Yeah, it was a long time ago, and it sounds like you were doing a lot of drugs." David James, Sean Diddy Combs' former assistant, also took the stand, and his testimony left the courtroom in stunned silence. Visibly emotional, David peeled back the curtain on what life was really like behind the scenes working for one of the biggest names in the industry. He recalled that on his very first day, HR didn't sugarcoat anything. They told him bluntly, "This is Diddy's kingdom, we're all here to serve him." That chilling statement wasn't just a warning, it was the rule of law in Diddy's world from that moment on, David said. He understood exactly what kind of environment he had stepped into, and it only got darker from there now. We also heard today from a personal assistant to Combs who became emotional on the witness stand when he testified about his interview with that Bad Boy Records to become his personal. David went on to reveal a deeply disturbing dynamic of control, manipulation, and fear. He recounted moments when he quietly pulled Cassie aside, trying to convince her to walk away from the toxic world she was stuck in, but she couldn't. According to David, Diddy had his grip on every aspect of her life, her career, her money, even the home she lived in. It wasn't just emotional manipulation, it was total domination. Cassie, he said, wasn't just in a bad relationship, she was trapped in a system where escape felt impossible. He also testified about an exchange she had with Ventura in which he talked to her about leaving this chaotic, crazy lifestyle, and Ventura told him. James testified that she couldn't leave because Combs was in charge of her career and her money and her apartment, and so she couldn't leave. He'll be back on the witness stand tomorrow. It was interesting, when he was leaving the courtroom, he looked over at Combs, he nodded at him, and Combs nodded back toward him. This testimony clearly not helpful for Combs' defense. Casey Dawn Richards, a former member of one of Diddy's bands, came forward with a chilling allegation that shook the courtroom to its core. Taking the stand, she recalled a moment that's haunted her for years. According to Dawn, while they were all at the house, Diddy approached her directly, his tone serious, his message unmistakable. He warned her not to say a word about what he was doing to Cassie. Then came the threat. Dawn claimed Diddy told her flat out that people who go against him go missing. Dawn is testifying that exactly what she talked about in her civil suit, in addition to some other things, that they were in a house in LA in 2009. Diddy beat Cassie because Cassie wasn't finished allegedly making his food on time, and the next day he came in the room to talk to her and her band member, and he basically told them, alleges that he told them, "Don't say anything what y'all saw up there was passion, and when people say stuff about things like this about me, they end up missing." That is what Dawn is alleging him. So the government is like, this is definitely relevant, because it'll show that, number one, he was conscious of guilt, conscious of what we're trying to prove is that he knows what he's doing, but he allegedly makes people feel scared so that they will just continue to let him do what he wants to do. Dawn Richards' chilling claim that Diddy warned her people who go against him go missing now carries an even more unsettling weight, because it may have just come true. Investigative journalist Ian Carroll recently reported a deeply troubling development that has cast a dark, ominous shadow over the entire case. The third alleged victim, a woman who had voluntarily come forward to testify against Diddy, has mysteriously vanished without a trace. Her identity had been kept confidential for her protection. But now, according to Carol, she's simply gone. No contact, no updates, no sign of her anywhere. The timing is terrifying. But then it turned out that victim 3, unknown, we don't know who it is, but victim 3 apparently is missing him. Just a few weeks ago, victim 3 came forward, or didn't come forward, but said that they were willing to testify in the trial. And though we don't know who it is, it obviously was important to the case because they were going to put victim 3 on the stand. And then, just before this all came together, and before Diddy took the stand, victim 3 apparently was out of communication, and we do not know where they are. My thought immediately went to the girl ally that is sharing all this salacious stuff. I went and looked her up, and she's still posting on TikTok. It's not her. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know who victim 3 is. I'm sure we can all come up with some crazy conspiracy theories about what's going on there. Diddy's side is hoping for a mistrial just because they don't have one of their witnesses. That is extremely unlikely, but it is possibly going to cause some delays, and it might actually impact the ability to prosecute Diddy. I presume that Diddy is pulling out all the stops, as we've heard reportings of private investigators looking into people and people being pressured or influenced by his family members, adding even more fuel to the already blazing fire. Big Homie, a former associate who once worked closely with Diddy, has stepped into the spotlight with explosive claims of his own. In a recent interview, he didn't hold back. Big Homie alleged that Diddy has a long history of making people disappear and warned the public that what we're seeing now is just the surface, the beginning of something far more sinister. He revealed that one individual who had reportedly come forward with crucial evidence has now mysteriously vanished. No trace, no answers. This, he said, mirrors the very warnings Dawn Richards gave when she spoke of threats and disappearances. Big Homie was clear and direct. He believes strange things are going to keep happening inside and outside the courtroom. And with a tone that sent chills down listener spines, he added, things have already started. Whenever these trials come about, the closer you get to the trial date, a lot of things start happening to remove people from the case that are going to strengthen the case for the prosecution. And I feel like we're watching that take place now with one of the male sex worker guys who provided tapes to the feds. He's disappeared. And this is similar to what happened in the Tory Lanez case, where the bodyguard whose DNA was on the weapon, he disappeared. So I expect to see a lot of strange things take place. I expect to see the defense team do a lot of steps to lighten the image of a Combs, and we've been watching that take place, reflecting on the case. Big Homie didn't hold back, speaking with a tone heavy with disappointment and gravity. He laid it all out, saying that when a man like Diddy with fame, fortune, and influence becomes addicted, whether to drugs, power, or his darkest fantasies, he doesn't just lose control, he loses himself. Big Homie didn't sugarcoat what he believes Diddy has become. He described the alleged actions not as mere mistakes or fleeting lapses in judgment, but as signs of something far more twisted and dangerous. He is evil. Big Homie said plainly, his behavior is egregious. And with that, the image of the music mogul many once idolized shattered. Even further, you see a gentleman like this from affluence and power. Whenever they have an addiction to MDMA or the drug ecstasy, they call it the love drug. So he's been doing this drug for over 20 years. So that's going to lead his view skewed when it comes to sexual activity. I believe it's helped turn him into a sexual deviant. And you know what type of man wants to see another man urinate in his wife's mouth? I feel like it's evil. I think his behavior is egregious. And I have a history of using very heinous acts on people like this who participate in this type of lascivious acts. All of this points to a haunting possibility that Diddy wasn't acting alone behind the scenes. There may be someone far more powerful, someone who didn't just witness or enjoy the twisted empire Diddy built, but helped shape it. And more chillingly, they may still be working to protect him. This isn't just